What's going on, guys? I'm Ada, and welcome back to Call of Cthulhu. Last time we left off, we were inside the Asylum, and we actually had one of our first times of trying to get out, like a stealth, pretty much a stealth and detection area, which, of course, the stealth aspects of the game is pretty intense. For if you are just in any type of visual range of the person, they will find you and pretty much, they will find you and then pretty much chase after you. And so you have to do a lot of backtracking and a lot of sneaking around. And it was actually a huge segment where we also found out that they're not going to give you just, okay, like, hey, all right, you're sneaking, you have to do this puzzle in order to fix this. No, they gave you, I think I counted out to be 3 different puzzles they gave me. One was like a shut down electricity way, another one was give pills way, and the final way was overload the gas one way. And I ended up doing that one as my last option. And I ended up getting a face full of gas too, which also almost knocked me out. But the weird thing is, Officer Bradley down there saved me yet again, seeing as you can see, he can see me. And at the same time, we also met Dr. Hold'em, who was trying to help me out. Which again, it's still weird because we saw Dr. Bradley getting stabbed. So how does this working out? So we need to go down here and talk to these people and see what's going on. And I feel like they fixed this place up a little bit. Or maybe it's just the lighting.
How do you feel?
Like shit.
Did I sleep long?
The day is only starting. It's fine.
Okay, so I guess I'm gonna need to...
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Bradley?
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
There are things I can't explain.
Tell us. What happened?
So there's a lot of options I could do. So I could talk to Bradley. Okay, so I want to say that Sarah Hawkins was a part of a cult, but I also want to talk to people.
I saw people in hoods. They had stolen Mrs. Hawkins' paintings.
Who are you talking about? Why would they do such a thing?
I don't know, but they were a threat. They've taken over the caves under the mansion. They were performing some kind of ritual. One of the entryways was under Charles Hawkins' office.
We suspect Mr. Hawkins of being involved.
My patients believe the old islanders used to worship primitive sea gods. Could they be the focus of the cult?
Am I hearing this right?
So you think me gullible?
You got stabbed, Bradley.
No, not at all.
Tentacle arm.
What else did you uncover, Mr. Pierce?
Okay, so neat. I can actually talk... So I want to talk to both these people before I go into these other options, especially Bradley. See, I really wish we had the medical professional hold to test psychology. See, I really should do, I really want to say this one, but I can't. Because we saw him get stabbed. This is a whole thing that's, excuse me, has been bothering me. How is he still here? You and Dr. Colden.
You two know each other pretty well.
It's a tiny island. Everyone knows everyone. Especially since I'm a police officer and Marie's a doctor.
The chemistry is obvious.
I do seem a little bit stupid, don't I? Anyway, let's get back to the business at hand.
So they're together then. That's cute.
What I'm
Too
sure
bad
of now
Bradley's dead, I think.
is that the Hawkins case isn't just an accident.
That's for damn sure.
And what brings you to that conclusion?
The fact that Charles Hawkins survived the fire.
I don't understand. Mr. Hawkins was buried.
That's what he would have you believe.
I have a hard time believing you.
You were there, Bradley. You even opened fire on him.
I'd remember that.
Why would he fake his own death?
So yeah, something's
I think he
weird
covered
about
up his wife's
Bradley that's
murder.
bothering the crap
That's
out of me.
possible.
It seems hard to swallow. Don't you have anything more concrete, Pierce?
Your memory seems to be failing you.
Bradley, what do you remember?
I don't understand your question.
The night we went into the Hawkins mansion. You don't seem to remember the tunnels and what occurred there.
No memory of going down any tunnel. No, we were in the manor, then,
Then what?
The rest is quite blurry. I don't recall how I came back home.
And then?
I went to visit you at the hospital, and called on Marie's help to get you released.
And you don't remember the events of the tunnel?
I
Or
don't.
getting stabbed.
Let's talk about something else.
Interesting. So he doesn't remember at all. So let's try talking to Colden then.
I found a file bearing Sarah Hawkins' name in the Institute's basement.
It makes sense. A powerful family like the Hawkins had the means to hide such a disgrace.
But everyone knows the Fullers have been taking care of the Hawkins for at least a generation. And all were aware of Mrs. Hawkins' fragility.
Perhaps, but no one would allow a psychiatric internment.
From what I read in the file, Fuller used her as a subject of his experiments.
Francis Sanders and Sarah Hawkins, subjects of Dr. Fuller. Why those two?
That's a good question.
Given the energy he pours into Riverside, I presume it was Fuller's creation.
His father's, to be correct. He was a surgeon on board the Scylla. He founded the hospital in 1904.
That's another
with funds
correlation
from the Hawkins
then.
family before he died and his son Thomas Fuller took over.
Two families inextricably linked.
Most island families are that way. Captain Fitzroy's father was also a seaman aboard the Scylla.
Powerful families dominating everything.
Yes, and as you could tell, Dr. Fuller is like some crazed emperor.
He wouldn't be happy if he knew we were snooping around.
I know the risks. I don't fear him. Do you wish to know anything else?
So the other thing too is I wonder if we ever saw a picture of Dr. Fuller's dad. Would he also look strangely like or exactly like his dad? Because before we saw a picture of the captain, right, and he looks exactly like his father. And he was like, oh yeah, we just happen to bear the same genes, you know, kind of weird thing. And I was like, but you look exactly like him, man. So it could be that the people that are, or the crewmen aboard the Scylla are immortal because they hunted down that sea monster or the stuff they took. I kind of wonder.
Dr. Fuller seems to be leaving a trail of corpses. Not to mention those strange machines, chains, and tools of all kind.
Yes. I've been telling you that Fuller uses his patients as guinea pigs.
What I saw was more akin to torture than medicine.
Yeah.
Do you even hear what you're saying? Dr. Fuller is highly respected.
It's the truth, Ethan. And I'll prove it to you. I'm listening, Mr. Pierce.
So pretty much, yeah, we found dead bodies. I think that's all the options we could have done. So we did that. I might be onto the lead.
I met Francis Sanders. Do you know him?
Of course, he's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
Well, he's dead now.
He knew Sarah Hawkins. And that's what killed him.
The Shambler.
What? How did he die?
Oh, do I get to
I'm
pick
not
the
sure
option?
I can
Aw.
explain it.
Tell me how Mr. Sanders died.
It was a Scooby-Doo villain.
I didn't see what, but something was there with us.
Of what do you speak?
Sanders said it was Sarah Hawkins' visitor. He spoke of it like a living being.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You
We got to
really
get
think
weird
she's
trying to solve this
involved?
case, man.
How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known art collector. I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
Ooh.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
So either see, it depends, because if we try to say it's like he was murdered in cold blood by a Scooby-Doo villain, Scooby-Doo named villain, or tell him the truth that she died. I mean, we could say like, hey, sorry, but your husband's dead. but she's going to want to know why.
You're right. Without a plausible explanation for what I saw, let's not jump to conclusions.
That seems wise indeed.
Very
Oh,
well.
this will affect my destiny.
I'll go to
Holy
see
shit.
Francis's widow. Perhaps I'll find a link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Don't end up in the hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
So are we just going to chill in this house?
Let us go now and learn the truth about what's happening on this island.
So this is going to be like our central hub thing. Oh, are you getting up? Nope. Okay. I think this is going to be like our central hub. So is this all part of Chapter 6? Yep. Okay. So Chapter 6 is broken down into different parts then. Okay.
What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders, I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what brings me here.
Oh, interesting.
Well, well, look who's here.
So why is she here then? I know she's like...
You know each other. Our paths crossed, briefly. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me. You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later. Very well, Miss Baker. This way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable. It would seem that you have much to tell me.
This is a cool house. I mean, it's like, I like the wallpaper and everything.
May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday, I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh, of course he spoke to you about her. That's all he talked about. Sarah Hawkins and her paintings.
That can't be healthy for a
Please
relationship.
forgive my tone. The fact is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
Wow, okay. He died screaming right before my eyes. I don't want to say that. I was no longer there when it happened. You're taking it quite well. You must not feel guilty. Okay, so I think out of all these options, I should just say is like, hey, don't feel guilty about it. But at the same time, she kind of brings up a good point, which should bring up like some red flags. Is like, in most hospitals, you're allowed to see a person to be in there unless they're like super infectious, and even then they have ways of in place of you being able to see them, you know. So if they're saying like, yeah, you can't see them, you know, because they're interred, they're dangerous and stuff like that, that should bring up a red flag in my opinion. I mean, of course, this is back like in the days and stuff like that, you know, when they didn't really have good hospital treatment for, I guess, the criminally insane. But yeah, it's kind of hard to say. It's like, well, I was there because they brought me as a patient, not as just a visiting member.
What happened to your husband is terrible, Mrs. Sanders. But from what I saw, it was inevitable. The man I met yesterday had lost his reason.
Why are we looking
He
like...
suffers no longer, if you would allow me such a platitude.
Of course.
Ooh, another
Thank
affect
you
my
for your
destiny.
kind words. Nobody in that hospital would have deigned to speak them to me. However, it will require more than that to soothe my mind. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
I couldn't, because dude was getting strangled by a ghost, pretty much. Well, I don't want to say the true culprit is Fuller. Hold to test eloquence. But I had nothing to do with it. Oh, see, I don't know, though. Because I can't just say that... I can't... Because she asked me, did I not do anything to help them?
Mrs. Sanders, I understand your grief, and I extend my deepest condolences to you. But I had nothing to do with the death of your husband. I've just arrived on Darkwater. I'm investigating the death of the Hawkins family.
The death of the Hawkins family? You mean it was not an accident?
No.
This accursed island knows only tragedy after tragedy. You too would be advised to flee it like the plague.
I would.
Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
Can I not look over your house? So there's different answers I can say. I don't want to ask. I really want to just learn about this. I would like to know why Kat is doing here also. So, but I've noticed that sometimes when you pick an answer, it's like, okay, you have one of 3 options. You have to pick one. Or they give you a couple options, and then that's it. Or one of them is they could just let you answer everything. Find out all the stuff you need to know.
Did your husband talk to you about Sarah Hawkins' visitor? A shambler, to use his precise terms.
Well, you can imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The Shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
It is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you're so eager to see it, I would urge you to make the most of your visit. Because I count on ridding myself of that thing as soon as I can.
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders. I won't be long.
Yeah, again, see, it gave me the option of saying one thing, and I can't really ask other questions, and I kind of want to know why Kat's doing here. But still. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. Mostly because I've, like, the past couple episodes have actually been really long ones, and they've been long unintentionally, but it's just kind of like, you know, progress of story and not wanting to break it up. But it looks like the painting, or the Shambler, is not just like an entity, it's actually just originally a painting, which is something that's been brought up earlier in the game too, is that Sarah Hawking and her paintings are, like, the paintings have some kind of power to them. What she made has some type of power. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to turn out later in the game, because we also seen paintings of myself, well, not myself, but the protagonist of the game, the detective, and other things. So it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all next time.